Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. This will probably be the last one of the day, so I thought we'd go out with something sweet, something that will put a little smile on your face, because I think we can all agree watching an idiot at work is something that brings joy to our hearts, particularly when that idiot is Shona Robison. She's a woman who really doesn't understand what she's doing. She doesn't understand what she's saying, and she certainly hasn't got the sense to be able to lie consistently. And so when she says one thing and then says something else, it doesn't occur to her that the thing she's saying the second time is different from the one first. And she undermines her own arguments. And it's a joy to watch, because when you see someone literally as stupid as her, it gives you hope for the world, because it means that anyone can rise to the top through sheer willpower, ignorance and stupidity. That said, you don't really want someone this stupid running a country, I grant you. But there we go. Hopefully the voters will see what she's doing and decide that Shona needs to be rested, shall we say, put out of our misery, taken away from power and given something more useful and in keeping with her levels of intelligence. I'm sure somewhere is a corner needing someone to sit there wearing a pointy hat with a D on it. Let's take a look. Now, I will ask you, do check you're still subscribed. It keeps happening. People have mentioned it in the comments today. They've been unsubscribed. They've had to resubscribe. It's a pain in the backside, I know. But do please hit that button. And if you haven't yet subscribed, now's an excellent time. You won't want to miss tomorrow with the enlightened one giving her evidence at the COVID inquiry. And indeed, I'll make no apologies, there's going to be a lot of COVID tomorrow. But then hopefully that should be an end to it for a while. And we'll get on to doing all the other stories, just like this one, about the morons that run Scotland. Anyway, Shona Robison. And before we get in, I will just point out, it's amazing. Everyone knows she's stupid, right? I know she's stupid. You know she's stupid. Everyone knows she's stupid. The only person who doesn't know Shona Robison is stupid is Shona Robison herself. She thinks she's bright. She thinks she's brilliant and intelligent. God help us. Anyway, Shona Robison destroys her own government's NHS budget claim with potholes spending admission. Now, if you remember, just before and prior to her budget back in December, she kept on saying, oh, look, we've had a real terms cut in how the NHS from Westminster, blah, 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 and all this rubbish, absolute rubbish, because the money given through the Barnet Formula isn't ring-fenced or said. It's, this is the amount you're getting, and handing it over. Billions upon billions of pounds. You can spend it where you want, Shona. If you're saying that the NHS budget is cut, that's because you have decided to cut it, which is, of course, what you did. You're claiming, oh, we're putting more money than ever in. Yes, you are putting more money than ever in because you put a slight increase on the budget, but it wasn't an increase with inflation. It's therefore a real terms cut in budget, isn't it? But you're not going to say that because that makes it sound bad. Meanwhile, the only area of the budget you did make a real terms increase on was independence. Housing was cut by 200 million. All sorts of things cut. And the people of Scotland are suffering for it. But hey, at least you've got those foreign embassies, eh? And you've got a plane now. So when the tanks do pull up and you get those 2 shots in the bunkers and the rest of you are running with your suitcases full of cash, at least you've got a plane to get you out of the country and go to a non-extradition treaty, eh? Very, very nice. Anyway, the Finance Secretary and her sidekick, Fiona Hislop, wrote to MSPs to say that all Barnet consequentials are factored into the Scottish budget. Because of course they are. This is proving that it's not possible for the UK government to impose a real terms cut on the NHS or any service in Scotland. And that real terms cut, which happened, is down to the idiot. Down to the 86 IQ moron that is Shona Robison. Shona Robison and Fiona Hislop have inadvertently destroyed the Scottish Government's contested and highly controversial claim about the way the Barnet Formula works. It works by a suitcase full of cash, literally. Not quite obviously cash, but they just go boom and it's a lump sum. Scotland's top civil servant was asked to launch an investigation into a party political tweet from officials which read, "Below inflation funding uplifts in England impact Scotland's budget." And in the UK government's autumn statement, Only 10.8 million of extra funding was provided for the NHS Scotland for next year, a real terms cut. And that is what is known in the trade as an absolute pile of horse shit. Because there is no ring fencing. They give you all the money. What you spend it on is up to you. The tweet was sent on the 7th. Now, fact is, it was a civil servant that said that. And a civil servant should know better. And I hope that civil servant has been fired. The tweet was sent on the 17th of December, 2 days before Miss Robison's budget announcement at Holyrood, when she hiked taxes and rolled out funding cuts across the public sector in a bid to fill the, what they're calling £1 billion, nearer £2 billion black hole in public books created by their own malfeasance in office. Scottish Conservative MSP Murdo Fraser wrote to the Permanent Secretary, John Paul Marks, calling for him to look into how much a simply untrue tweet was approved. And he said civil servants were acting like an arm of the Scottish National Party. He said it's up to Scottish ministers how they allocate funding from the UK. He is bang on. Now, that civil servant that posted that has to be fired, literally. They are working as an arm of the SNP, not as an independent, impartial civil service. When Labour get in, and probably likely to at the next election, not general, next Holyrood, will they be fighting against the civil service, the SNP civil service? Seems likely, doesn't it? Anyway, now the Scottish Daily Express can reveal the Finance Secretary, Miss Robison, and Transport Minister Fiona Hislop, in a submission dated the 20th of December, admitted that funds from the UK government are not ring-fenced. And the Scottish Government has complete control over the spending. Because of course it has. So if there are cuts, it's because Shona Robison has decided to make them. Nothing to do with Westminster. And it may be pointed out that the total amount given over in the Barnet Formula this year not only was at the highest ever, it was also a real terms increase. And if she can't make that money work, then God help everyone. It came in response to a long-running petition calling for pothole repairs on Scotland's roads after Chancellor Jeremy Hunt announced an extra £200 million for the UK government's pothole repair fund, taking the total for England's roads in 2023-24 to £700 million. This triggered an additional £17.2 million for Scotland in the Barnet consequentials. MSPs on the Holyrood. So they've given you an extra £17 million for pothole repairs. How much of that do you think is going to be spent on potholes? I'll give you an idea. None at all. MSPs on the Holyrood Petitions Committee wrote to the SNP ministers to ask if this would be spent on road repairs, and the reply from Miss Robison and Miss Hislop finally confirmed that NAT ministers have complete control over their own spending decisions. They said, and here they go, and this is where they destroy their own argument because, you know, they've let the idiots out into the wild. Budgets are allocated on an annual basis through the Scottish budget process, where available funds will be prioritised and published in the draft budget. All Barnet consequentials, including consideration of their source, are factored into that process. The 2024-25 draft budget will be published on the 19th of December, and it will set out spending plans for motorways and trunk roads. She's admitted that although they've increased the funding on the Barnet Formula by 17.3 million because of the upgrade of spending on roads in the rest of the United Kingdom, that triggers an increase of the Barnet consequentials for Scotland, 17.2. So that's come from road funding from the 17 million for fixing the roads. It's gone in. There you go. Let's have 17 million because we've uplifted the road fixing budget. And they've taken that 17 million road fixing budget, thrown it into the pot, and they're not going to spend a single penny fixing roads. Who'd have thought it? And here's the thing. They've just admitted it. They've just admitted it. All Barnet consequentials, including consideration of their source, in this case the source was the road budget, are factored into the process. In other words, one big pot from which she sticks her grubby little fingers in. The Pothole Repair Fund in England allocates money to local councils to fix potholes in their areas, although motoring organisations such as the RAC and AA said even the increased annual sum of £700 million was unlikely to make a big difference to the overall quality of our dilapidated local roads. In Scotland, however, there's no dedicated fund for local road repairs, and council budgets for road maintenance have fallen 16% in real terms. New figures from non-profit group Round Our Way show that 31% more potholes were reported to councils last year alone. an increase of 46% since 2019. And so, while desperately needed, and while the money's gone there to repair them, the Scottish Government are saying, no, we're not spending the money that we've been given on that. We're spending it on independence. Good choice, Scotland. You keep voting for them. This is what happens. And when your roads finally fall out and it's like a dirt track, you can say, yes, but at least we've got a foreign embassy that you will never use. Because if you do go abroad and are in trouble, you're just going to go to the British embassy, aren't you? A spokesman for the council umbrella group, Cosler, said the recent budget will put more pressure onto services such as road maintenance as ring fencing and direction continues. In addition, climate change and increasing weather events such as flooding is only going to make the situation worse, which is why the significant cut proposed to the capital investment in the budget is a concern. And yet they don't need to cut it. They've got £17.5 million. But they don't want to spend it on the roads. They want to spend it on independence. And there she is. Look, is it me? Or does that pothole look a bit like a giant knob and bollocks? Right next to what she's saying, isn't it? Where you couldn't have picked a better picture. I'm coming up. When you allow the idiots like Shona out of their cage and they run amok in society, you must always stand back a bit. They can be quite dangerous when cornered. They start spouting things and you go, oh, my ears are burning. It sounds like bullshit to me. And that, of course, is because it is. The woman has no idea what she's doing. Having previously lied about one thing, she comes forward and admits it in the next letter. And you're like, Shona, it was only a couple of days ago. Do you not remember these things? Is it very hard retaining information in that tiny little brain? It's like a little walnut, isn't it? Wobbling around inside. My name's Shona. My friend's Fiona. It's almost the same. We're like twins. Honestly, that is the level of these two, isn't it? Absolute balmy. But it is always good when they get caught out, and they've been caught out. Of course they've been caught out, because they're full of shit. That's why. They're absolutely full of it. Stop listening. Stop voting these idiots in, please. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. It is, as I say, probably the last one, unless there's a major news story. There will definitely be a flash video, because I've seen something come up, and I've got to go out. But I've seen something come up right now, and I'd like to do a story on that. But I'll do it as a flash when I get back. But anyway, until tomorrow, now, hopefully, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Well, I will actually, because there's going to be a flash video. But anyway, I'll speak to you later. Bye.